This is so crazy that we voted for Trump. We trust him with the word that he promised us Latinos. This is crazy that starting next week, multiple cities will be hitting immigration. That is so crazy that multiple people are scared to go to work. I hate that I voted for him. Now I'm so scared for my family and y'all family. Y'all, we need to come together and do something about this.
That TikTok was posted by Myra Aluna, and as you saw, she was in tears after realizing that she got exactly what she voted for. And in case you were wondering, no, I'm not the one who posted that sappy music. She is the one who added that music, I think because she was hoping people would feel sympathy for her. But I think most people are going to feel sorry for her family because they didn't get a say in the matter, and they're the ones who are presumably going to be affected by this. But it begs the question, what did she expect? Because Trump ran on mass deportation. His supporters at the RNC literally held signs that read mass deportation in bold red and white letters. So how are you shocked when it was the cornerstone of his campaign? And some commenters actually asked her that question. Here's her response.
It doesn't matter who you voted for. They both was full of shit of presidents. No matter what, people can go through politics. I don't want to go down that route with y'all because I don't have time for the negativity like that. Because my people are going through the situation, not y'all. So y'all can go, whatever y'all want to say, I don't care. God bless you. We're supposed to be here for one another, lift each other. What's wrong with y'all? Sick.
So she was pretty defensive, as you saw, because she felt like people were trying to kick her while she was down when she was pretty much expecting sympathy. So I think that the backlash surprised her. I don't think she also anticipated that this would go viral as well. But, you know, after she engaged with more comments and a few TikToks later, it actually seems like this moment has genuinely radicalized her in a positive way. She later admitted that voting for Trump was a mistake and she regrets it. But since she can't take it back, you know, she's going to focus her efforts on fighting for the people in her community. Upon further reflection, she also apologized for her vote and the way that it's affecting her family as well as other people's families. And she even made a post doubting the legitimacy of religion after presumably being overtly religious in that original TikTok. And she then posted this clip from a live stream explaining why she made that video in the first place.
My purpose to make that video is to see what can we come together and make this. What can we do? What can we like get out of this to help one another? Because I made a mistake. Everybody makes mistakes in life. Everybody. I'm going to pay attention more.
Great. You know, it would have been nice if you paid attention before the election, but hey, better late than never, I guess, right? But even though it's so incredibly frustrating that she voted the way that she did, I do think it's important that we have grace for people like her, especially after they own up to their mistakes. What matters the most is that we use this opportunity to better inform people and try to foster class solidarity among people like Myra, who realized that she made a mistake. So we have to connect the dots for them and try to bring them over to our side. And I get it. It's frustrating because so many people don't come to this type of realization until one of his policies affects them personally. But we've got to try to meet people where they are and get them to be more empathetic so that way they don't realize the pain and suffering that they cause, you know, until it's too late. But right now, Myra is genuinely hurting because she's scared for her family, and I would be too if I were her. In another TikTok, she actually revealed that her grandfather texted his goodbyes to her in case ICE raided his work, which is genuinely heartbreaking, and I sincerely hope that her family is safe. But unfortunately, their safety is not guaranteed. Nobody's safety is guaranteed. And the best that we can all do is try to prepare and educate people about how to protect themselves. And on that note, I do want to link you to this ACLU page with resources and scripts in English and Spanish in the event ICE shows up to question you. And just know that if an ICE agent questions you, you don't have to say anything. You do have the right to remain silent. And if they ask to search you, you can demand that they get a warrant. And if you're not a citizen and you have papers, carry them with you at all times, but know that you're only required to show them to immigration agents and not local police. And whatever you do, don't sign anything. And if you are a citizen and you see ICE, TikTokers like Ariana Jasmine are encouraging people to yell La Migra to warn immigrants in the vicinity that ICE has showed up. I think that priority number one is getting this basic information out to people, and we have to treat ICE like the modern day Gestapo that they are. But getting back to Myra, what matters to me is that she's now trying to right her wrong. And I think it's far more than you can say about other people who have buyer's remorse about voting for Donald Trump, like the lady we're about to talk about now, who voted for him 3 times. But after seeing him in his first week, she now wants to flee the country. I'm not joking about this. So Reddit user Miracle King shared this exchange with his mom on Reddit. She texted her son saying, "I'm afraid for this nation and I kind of want out of here. We're an embarrassment." Now her son responded saying, "I know Kamala ran a shit campaign, but literally everybody not a Republican said this was going to happen. Trump is already following the Project 2025 handbook and things like rescinding census orders to redraw election maps." And on that note, by the way, her son is absolutely correct. Trump did rescind a Biden-era order which reversed a move from Trump's first term to exclude undocumented immigrants from census data, all in an effort to give blue states less seats after maps are redrawn again. And on top of that, an analysis by Time found that 2/3 of Trump's executive actions so far have either partially or fully mirrored proposals in Project 2025. But back to his mom, because she responded to him saying, "Can we move to Iceland, Finland, Italy, Spain?" She later says, "Pretty sure I want to move to Iceland." Her son then responds, letting her know, "Not Greenland, since Trump wants to invade them," to which she responds, "I'm at a loss right now. No matter what, it's all far too stressful." Yeah, it is stressful. Sounds like your son tried to warn you about that, but you didn't want to listen. And I've got to say, the audacity of this lady to vote for Trump and then want to flee the country to leave the rest of us with her mess to clean up. Fuck you, okay? You made the bed for all of us. Now you should be forced to lie in it too. And at least Myra is trying to help people affected by her vote. But this lady just wants to cut and run, which is so fucking selfish, but also so very on brand for Americans. Now, with that being said, I'm still glad that she at least realized that she fucked up at a minimum, because the overwhelming majority of Trump voters right now, they're still riding high. They still support him, and they're still holding out faith that he won't implement policies that hurt them specifically. And I say this because CNN actually talked to Trump-supporting educators in Kentucky who are bracing for budget cuts after Trump announced that he wants to abolish the Department of Education, which would directly fuck them over. And, here's what they had to say about the situation.
1/3 of all of Bell County, Kentucky school district funding in 2021 came from federal sources. So this district is listening as incoming President Donald Trump pledges this.
One other thing I'll be doing very early in the administration is closing up the Department of Education in Washington, D.C., and sending all education and education work and needs back to the states.
What exactly that means for a state like Kentucky is unclear. Trump won this state. In Bell County, 84% voted for Trump, yet it deeply relies on federal funding. And that's not unusual. A CNN analysis found the 15 states that most rely on federal funding for its public schools in 2022 all voted for Trump.
And I voted for President Trump.
I mean, you're an educator. You didn't vote for Trump eliminating federal funds.
No, I did not vote for that. I voted for President Trump to make America first again and to improve our lives.
Do you believe that he would cut funding for this county?
I want to say in my heart, absolutely not. I do not think that's what the voters want. If we have federal cuts, then that's going to mean bigger classroom sizes. I would lose teachers, first and foremost. It's devastating for this school in particular.
Guess what? That's the fucking goal. For years, the Republican Party has been open about wanting to defund public education in order to further privatize it. When they push for school voucher programs, they are deliberately pulling money out of public schools to put them into private schools. You voted for that, but she wasn't the only one.
This superintendent is still doing multiple jobs, taking on paying invoices and answering the district's phones just so he can save money on administrative help and send more money to his classrooms.
I don't think that anyone in our county wants to cut our school funding. I don't think that anyone voted for that.
Do you mind if I ask who you voted for in the election?
I voted for Donald Trump, and I voted against Amendment 2.
Amendment 2, so-called school choice, would have allowed Kentucky tax dollars to go to non-public schools. But it failed overwhelmingly in Kentucky, even though President Trump supports the policy.
Well, it looks like you effectively voted for Amendment 2 anyway, since you voted for Donald Trump. And what's so aggravating is how people in red states who predominantly vote for Donald Trump, they're actually going to be worse off than most people in the country because of his policies. Red states just don't have enough revenue for things like education and disaster relief, and they rely on federal funding, a sizable share of which comes from blue states, by the way, that they hate, to supplement their state budgets. So if you remove the federal government from the equation, the implications are literally disastrous. I mean, if you abolish FEMA, for example, which Trump said he wants to do, southern states that are frequently hit with hurricanes and tornadoes are going to be shit out of luck if that happens. And those people do not deserve to suffer because of the state that they happen to live in. All Americans should have the same standard of living, regardless of which state they're in. They should have the same healthcare, the same education. But after these red states voted for Donald Trump, his gift to them is basically a giant middle finger in the form of austerity. Why? Because he wants to use that money that he's taking from them, or that he could be using on them, to pay for tax cuts for the oligarchs who got him elected. You see, because if you cut education and disaster relief and maybe even Social Security, you'll be able to put all that money towards things that he really cares about, like tax cuts for the rich. In other words, regular people who supported him will be worse off in 4 years, and some of his most diehard supporters are going to be worse off than his regular supporters, even if they don't realize it, since he takes advantage of their loyalty. For example, we talked about the Trump coin thing last week. Well, here's what one Reddit user posted. Organic Versimile 47 posted a screenshot of somebody who basically went all in on Trump's meme coin and is now worried about losing everything. So they shared a screenshot which says, 1.2 million DJT inauguration, YOLO, this may ruin my life. And it turned out he was absolutely correct, because he followed up saying, I think this will crash on Tuesday. I wanted to sell, but I got caught holding the bag on Friday. Please tell me, am I fucked? Then we got another update. I've lost $700,000. What the fuck do I do? I'm desperate and hopeless. Holy shit. This is awful. My life is over. I can't sell at this point. I need to make it back. I feel sick to my stomach. I have a major problem. I can't stop myself. I'm on a slow-moving train to hell. Sorry, Grandpa. And finally, this is partially debt. I will be bankrupt and lose my house if this goes wrong. My kids will not have a place to live, and if my wife finds out, she will probably divorce me. So he went from, this could ruin my life, LOL, YOLO, to help, it's ruining my life, and my wife might leave me if she finds out. What do you even say to that? I think she should leave you. I feel terrible for that man's family. It sounds like he's taking them for granted and needs to get help and just fuck them over. I mean, Trump has a history of being a con man. Ask anyone who attended Trump University how that went for them. So, to normal people, they see a project involving both Trump and crypto, and they see the biggest red flags ever. But this person, who presumably supports Donald Trump, they're like, actually, that sounds kind of legit to me. Maybe I could make some money from it. The goal wasn't for you to make money. The goal was for him to make money. And now you're coping and seething after getting scammed. I don't even know what to tell you, right? Of course, it was a scam. Nothing Trump is doing should surprise anyone at this point. This man has been in politics now for nearly 10 years, right? Nothing he does should surprise anyone. He has a history of being a scam artist. And when it comes to policy, he ran on all of the things he's doing now, with the exception of annexing Greenland and Canada. So if you're surprised about that, I can, give you an exemption there. But for everything else, I mean, he's doing what he said he was going to do. So I just don't understand how so many people are suddenly surprised by what they're seeing. But getting back to policy more specifically, I guess it doesn't actually matter that Trump is doing what he said he was going to do, because people don't seem to notice until it's too late, or until it personally affects them. For example, CNN spoke with people who voted for Donald Trump, and most of them were happy with it. But one person in particular was a little bit sketched out that he's now doing things that he said he was going to do that are anti-democratic. For example, here's what a voter from Philadelphia named Linda Rooney said in response to Trump's first week in office. Quote, on one hand, I am glad he is cleaning up the mess Biden left, both domestically and foreign, said Rooney, who runs a consulting business in the Philadelphia suburb of media. But I wish he would use more discernment. Not all of the January 6th people should have been pardoned. It was an attack on our democracy and on our elected leadership. I was optimistically hopeful after the election, but I feel like he is a bull in the china shop, Rooney said in a text exchange, or that he's using a sledgehammer where finer instruments are called for. Still, she is mostly in sync with Trump promises to cut taxes and reduce regulations. Yeah, see, the problem is that, when you vote for a politician because you like one of the policies, you get all the other policies that come with it too. And I think that Linda is illustrative of the infinite wisdom of the American swing voter. She voted for Donald Trump in 2016, then in 2020 she voted for Biden, and then in 2024 she voted for Donald Trump again, and I'm assuming by 2028 she'll flip once again and vote for a Democrat. But now, after voting for Donald Trump, she's like, oh, well, gee willikers, I sure do wish that he didn't pardon those insurrectionists like he said he was going to do, but I do love he's promising, tax cuts and deregulation. Linda, oh my God, Linda, I need you to listen very carefully to me. He's not cutting your taxes. He's cutting taxes for rich people. And unless your consulting business makes more than $300,000 per year, you're not going to be affected by that positively. In fact, you're probably going to have to pay more. And unless you're a corporation looking to boost profits, you shouldn't be happy about deregulation because those regulations were put in place to protect people like you. And what I hate is that the media treats these people, these swing voters, like oracles of knowledge every time there's an election when they are the dumbest fucking people in the entire country in actuality. But we're not done yet because you know how a lot of us were warning Trump supporters that he had dictatorial ambitions? And how the Republican Party would do everything that they could to embolden his dictatorial ambitions and help him consolidate power. And then Trump supporters said we were being hysterical and lying. Well, apparently some conservatives, they're realizing, maybe they were right. Maybe they had a point. And I say this because Republican Andy Ogles proposed amending the 22nd Amendment to allow presidents to serve 3 terms so long as they're non-consecutive, which would conveniently disqualify Obama from running for a 3rd term too. But here's how Redditors in the conservative subreddit responded to that proposal. Nonsensical. Do we really want presidents for life like Russia and elsewhere? Trump will be 82 by the end of his term. It will be time to turn it over to Vance or someone else who is younger. No, this I can't get behind. Remember when everyone on the left was crying about how Trump was going to become this fascist dictator and do things like change term limits, and we all laughed and called it fear-mongering? Why the hell would someone even propose this? Yeah, I wonder. Good Lord, stop giving Democrats the threat to democracy bait they want. No, they don't want it. I don't think they want it, buddy. Last one. I hope Trump publicly shuts this down. Embarrassing. Oh, and Trump shut it down all right. He shut it down by joking about serving 3 or maybe even 4 terms at a rally on Saturday.
It will be the greatest honor of my life to serve not once, but twice, or 3 times, or 4 times. Headlines from the fake news. Now it will be to serve twice.
Just kidding, teehee. I don't actually want to serve more than 2 terms, although the crowd was cheering when I brought it up, and the Supreme Court could theoretically interpret the 22nd Amendment to mean that presidents can't serve more than 2 consecutive terms. So yeah, I should probably be quiet and not give them any ideas, by the way. And look, it's not the first time that he's joked about this, but come on. What are we doing here? He tried to overturn the last election. So when he says something like this, I don't think it should be interpreted as a joke, even if he explicitly says it's a joke, because we're talking about Donald Trump. He is liable to change his position on anything if it benefits him. But in conclusion, I just want to be clear that all the people that we talked about in today's video, they are outliers. And while you may enjoy the schadenfreude to a degree, the reality is that these anecdotes are not representative of most Trump supporters. In fact, Trump's approval rating is at 47%, which is at an all-time high. And even though Americans disapprove of some of his actions, like pardoning January 6th insurrectionists, they still largely approve of Donald Trump overall. But after enough time, once the tariffs and austerity impact people directly, a lot more people will probably sour on Donald Trump, right? Even if he did nothing, I'd argue his approval rating is still probably going to go down with time as things continue to get worse, which they will. So the honeymoon phase isn't going to last forever, and as more and more people wake up and realize that their faces were eaten by leopards after they voted for the leopards eating people's faces party, we're going to have to try to do our best to get them to see how they were duped. And we're going to have to try to foster class solidarity among these future ex-Trump supporters, because if people can actually see the game that's being played and realize that they were duped by propaganda, and we're all susceptible to being duped by propaganda, we are just going to be better off as a country that way. If we could get them to realize that the fear-mongering about DEI and immigrants and trans people was all a ruse to distract them while the elites robbed them blind, I think we might be able to stop people from voting against their own self-interest in the future. Not all of them, because people are still going to do that forever, but we can stop more people from making the mistake that they made this time, if they're even open, like people like Myra, to have, this conversation with others. But I think we have to try to get some of these people who are dense as fuck to realize that they have more in common with every immigrant and every trans person and person of color than they do with any rich person. And their lives aren't going to suddenly get better if the lives of trans people and immigrants get worse. All working class voters around the world share the same exact destiny. It's us versus the wealthy. And if we don't get them to see that and realize that this is a class war that's being waged, then this country really is doomed. So our project over the next 4 years is to get people to see the light. Somehow, if it's possible.
Do yourself a favor and click the join button on YouTube to become a member. Because Mike's doing a great job. Getting to watch his videos before everyone else is tremendous. Many people are saying this. Join today, folks. You won't regret it.